Welcome to One-on-One with Walt Laskos. In this brief podcast, you'll learn how to most effectively address senior financial exploitation. Now, here's Walt.
Greetings. In our efforts to keep older adults safe from financial scams and fraud, I'm of the opinion that those who are associated with the Attorney General's office in each state are among some of the hardest workers in that cause. So today, as part of my efforts to mark June's observance of Worldwide Elder Abuse Awareness Month, I have as my guest Mickaela Driscoll, an Elder Abuse Investigator in the Elder Abuse Unit of the Rhode Island Attorney General's Office. Mickaela, let's begin by having you provide an overview of your work at the Rhode Island Attorney General's Office.
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me on today. I really appreciate it. Our work here at the Attorney General's Office in Rhode Island is our office is the Chief Law Enforcement Officer for the state. And part of that is we have an elder abuse unit within our criminal division, which I'm a part of, which also includes a prosecutor and a project coordinator for a multidisciplinary team that we started a couple of years ago. And our job really is kind of the investigative management and prosecution of all elder abuse crimes in the state. We work very closely with many of our state agencies and community partners to really just kind of, get the word out too. And a lot of our work is outreach and speaking to older adults, speaking to many organizations, knowing that elder abuse is one of the most underreported crimes in the country, and how we can change that and know that we here in Rhode Island are keeping our older adults safe and want to make sure that we're protecting them in the best way that we can.
Mickaela, when it comes to scams and fraud, what are your observations in Rhode Island? How is it trending?
So I think it's unfortunately trending on an upward scale. We're seeing more and more of scams happening, and I think a lot of it too is knowing that many more people are coming forward and reporting that they're victims. So we want to hear that, because the sooner that folks report that they've been a victim of a scam, the faster that we can assist from a law enforcement standpoint, but also get them any services, that they need. Because sadly, we know many folks who are victims of scams, and I've dealt with many of them, who lose their life savings. And then are, unfortunately struggle to pay for, their housing, their food, utilities. So we want to, to let folks know, there are so many resources and so many great community partners here in Rhode Island that can assist them. So coming forward is really important because, as I said, we are seeing an increase in the amount of scams that are going on, and they happen in all different mediums. It's still the phone call that you may receive that you won some type of lottery or sweepstakes, or that your grandchild, has been arrested. Or it's the pop-up you get on your computer, or a text message that you think may be from your financial institution. There's so many different ways that these scammers are targeting older adults. And unfortunately, it's very, very easy to fall for. Even just last week, I got a text message that looked like a debt collector. And for a second, it took me back and to think, I'm like, what am I getting? A debt collector? I know I don't have any accounts, in collection. But then, once you take that step back and think, oh, this is a scam, but it's really, it's scary, for folks, that emotion that these scammers put into people, that something bad's going to happen, whether to you or to a loved one.
Mickaela, it's funny. There's so much going on here. This morning I received an email, and it was from the United States Postal Services saying that they had a package for me that did not have a complete delivery mailing address, so that I need to click this link so that I could be connected with them to provide the proper address. And I'm going, how is it that they have my email address but don't have my home address? Scam.
Sure.
That's like, so just delete. You don't even touch it. You have to be so careful. And I think a point that you also made is that it seems like, obviously the trending is going up, possibly because more people are reporting. But I think that may be good, because one of the things that I believe, and I want to hear your thoughts on this too, one of the things that I think prohibits a lot of folks from saying anything is embarrassment. You know, I mean,
Absolutely.
who wants to admit that, oh, my God, I fell for this con artist and I just lost $20,000 of my life savings? Wait till my spouse or wait till my grandkids hear about this. You know, they're absolutely embarrassed. So, I mean, do you find that it's the case?
Absolutely. That embarrassment and then that fear of now, you know, once I tell my children that I just lost $20,000, what are they going to do? They're going to take away, you know, my ability to have control of my finances. They're going to put me in a nursing home because they think I can no longer make decisions for myself. Those other fears that a lot of folks have because, you know, I fell victim to this scam, what else is going to happen? And that's one of the things we really try to get across to folks is to not have that embarrassment, to come forward because, you know, time is of the essence in a lot of these scams where we might be able to get law enforcement involved, you know, immediately. You know, we've had some success where someone may send money through the mail and they report it, and we can work with the postal inspector's office in having that package intercepted. And so the cash that you were sending to, you know, you thought was your girlfriend in another state, we can try to get that back. You know, I will say it's not always, you know, that easy, if you will. But as I said, time is of the essence with these scams. And really changing that narrative, as you said, you know, to not feel embarrassed that it's so easy to fall victim to some of these scams because these scammers are so good at what they do. This is their full-time job.
Exactly.
You know, is scamming folks.
Exactly. They're making billions of dollars doing this. So if you're making that kind of money, you have the most sophisticated tools, training, all that sort of thing to make sure that you're at your very best to be able to con someone from their money. You know, but when you look at it now, I think that, you know, this whole thing about being embarrassed, my God, we're seeing more and more stories and more people of high caliber. You know, I saw lawyers that fall for it. You go on YouTube and you can see all these videos of all these, you know, very well educated and prominent individuals saying that, you know, they got me. I fell for a scam. So there is really nothing to be embarrassed about here for any one of us.
Yep,
because
and that's one of the always things I tell, you know, folks when we're out in the community and speaking about these different types of scams is that anyone can fall victim to a scam. It doesn't matter how much money you have, where you live, how educated you are. Anyone can be a victim. And the other thing too is, you know, folks will say to me, "Well, I don't have any money, so they're not going to get much off of me." Well, you know, a little bit, it can be a lot to someone, but also it's not necessarily just the cash they have in your bank account. It's what other assets that you may have that you can have access to, but also your identity. You know, we saw recently scammers were contacting folks, you know, from what they think is Medicare or changing their insurance policies, and they're giving away their Social Security number, bank account information. And then once you give that information away to these scammers, they can open up credit cards in your name, take out loans. So it's not just that money that you have in your account. It's your identity that is so valuable that these scammers are also trying to take and get that personal information.
You know, Mickaela, what are some of the maybe the most common scams that you see going on right now in Rhode Island?
One of the most that I see a lot of are the tech support scams, where you receive maybe a pop-up on your computer that there's a virus. You need to call a telephone number, and, you know, you call this telephone number. They'll tell you there's a fee for whatever services that they can provide to remove the virus from your computer. But then there's always this kind of oh no moment where they say, you know, we're cleaning out your computer, but we found child pornography on your computer. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble, but don't worry, we can help you. There's going to be an additional fee. And what I've seen with that kind of twist to the scam is that they're going to ask you to withdraw a significant amount of money out of your bank account, but then they're having the victims send the money to them using cryptocurrency. And there are these cryptocurrency ATM machines throughout the state. They essentially look like a kind of a traditional ATM, if you will, that you would find at a gas station, a laundromat. We found them, different, you know, local businesses. And, you know, once you put that money into that machine, that money is gone. It's very difficult to trace it's not regulated. So that's why scammers are using those crypto machines now to get people's money. Years past, we would see a lot of buying the gift cards, which we still do. They'll ask you to buy a gift card to pay for whatever services that they're saying that you need to, and then read off the numbers to them. But certainly cryptocurrency is one that we are seeing a way that scammers are having victims send money to them.
There's a lot of credit union executives that listen to my one-on-one podcasts. What would you see as the top priorities that they should all be aware of when it comes to protecting their members in the community from these crimes?
Sure. I think one of the things is, especially with the credit unions, you're kind of that front line of defense, right? You know who your customers are. You know them best. Many of them come to the same branch every day, and you get to, or however often they go to the bank. You kind of get to know them. And I think it's really important, and, we always stress, and also stress to the older adults, too, that if you go to the bank and you're asked questions, about why are you, all of a sudden need to withdraw $10,000 out of your account. That's not typical for your normal spending. Ask those questions, but also knowing that scammers coach the victims. So they'll coach them to say, when you go to the bank to withdraw that $10,000, they're going to ask you why, and this is what you need to be your answer. So I think it's important to be able to ask those questions. Sometimes you have to think outside of the box. Right, and I think that's a lot of what I do here too in my work, and knowing the different resources that you have available to you. I think one of the really great tools that we have here in the state of Rhode Island was legislation that was passed back in 2021, which was the Elder Adult Exploitation Prevention Act. And what that does, and I think really helpful, number one, is as long as the financial institution reports that you suspect someone's a victim of financial exploitation. And it doesn't just have to be as a scammer, right? We know that a lot of the cases and that what we prosecute here are these perpetrators are known to the older adult. So it's their children, their grandchildren, caregivers, and loved ones. So as long as you report that to Adult Protective Services, which we are all mandated to here in the state of Rhode Island, you're able to place holds or freezes on the bank accounts. It also allows financial institutions to contact reasonable third parties. So again, to go back to the point of folks are embarrassed that they don't want to tell their children, if you see that money is flying out of an older adult's account, you have the authority to be able to contact a reasonable third party as a financial institution. So I think that's a great tool. That's also available to financial institutions, and to work, with law enforcement. Know who the community partners are. Here in Rhode Island, every police department in the state has a senior police advocate, so someone who's assigned to handle elder abuse cases. So know the folks in the community, so the people that you can reach out to, looking for assistance. Because I know it's hard. I've dealt with many victims who just don't want to believe that they've been a victim of a scam. And we see them continuously sending money, and their account just keeps getting drained, and it's very frustrating. But knowing all those resources, so we can use that kind of a collaborative approach to really try to work with the older adult to help them realize that they've been a victim of a scam.
And one last question, Mickaela. If any one of our listeners wants more information or to learn more about your work in Rhode Island, where can they find it?
So you can go right onto our website, which is www.riag.ri.gov. Our main telephone number line is also 401-274-4400. Once you call the main number, you will hit 1 for English, and there's also a prompt for the Elder Abuse Unit, which is prompt 6, and those calls all come directly to me. So please, I really, stress for folks, reach out to us. We're here to help in any situation that you may be dealing with, a customer of the credit union, how we can help. I call people all the time and say, I think you're a victim of a scam. What can we do to try to help you? So, please feel free to reach out to us at any time if we can offer any assistance.
And Mickaela, congratulations, encouragement. Keep doing what you're doing, because for all of us that want to protect older adults from financial scams and fraud, I know that you are like right on the front lines, and that you and your unit at the Rhode Island Attorney General's office is doing a great job trying to protect older adults, and actually, and more so, going after those that have conned them of their money. So please keep doing what you're doing, and we really applaud your efforts, Mickaela.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much.
And thank you all, too, for listening today. Stay safe.
If you've enjoyed this conversation, don't forget to follow One-on-One with Walt Lascos wherever you get your podcasts. Feel free to send comments to walt@lascoscommunications.com. And to learn more about how you might support the prevention of elder financial scams, visit lascoscommunications.com.